Hey folks, I want to do a quick video on how to play the Needtobreathe song Multiplied, and I'm going to try to zip through this because there's a storm coming through and I'm losing my light. I'm a broke musician, you see. Okay, so first of all, as of the making of this video, today is May 29th when this video was made, so 2014. So this song just came out not too long ago. There aren't really any tabs for it online, and yesterday was the last time I checked for any videos. There was like one guy that did a lesson video on it. I think some other guys did covers. But there's not really like a how-to on how to do this. The other video he's close, but it's not quite right. So I don't mean to ruffle anybody's feathers. It's just I had to tab this out. I had to transcribe this for other guitar players for my job so that they can have something to play. So I figured I'd make a video for them to see it, so I just figured I'd make it public. So here's what it is. First of all, this guitar is tuned down a whole step. This is my only guitar. That's how I keep it. So if it sounds a little low, that's because it is. But I'm going to pretend that it isn't, so that I can capo. So that all the capo and all the frets and everything will be correct. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Let me fix this camera angle so that you can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, that's a little better. Can't see my face though. That's probably a good thing. Alright, so let me go through it real quick. It's in G, capo 3, because the note that you hear that's constantly being hammered on, or hammered on from, is that note there. So that's a pretty good indication that the capo is on capo 3. So, you know, that's... there's only one way to make that sound because those notes are just too far apart. So that's one of those things you want to listen for when you're trying to figure out these songs by ear. Okay, so I'm going to speak in terms of the actual fret numbers, not relative to the capo. It's less confusing for me to do it that way. Okay, so you're up here on kind of this G chord, which is up on the 12th and 10th frets of the first 3 strings. And here's the picking pattern. It's very easy, and you'll just repeat this over and over again. It's 3, 2, 3, 1 with the hammer on. And then you're going to hit the second string again just to kind of get the riff going again. Like that. Alright, so there's that chord. The next chord is like a D-shaped chord on the 12th and 13th frets. Again, the same note. That first string, and if you listen really carefully, that's the note that's being hit. I think that's one of the things that on this video that I saw was wrong. But if you listen for it, that's the note that's being hit. It's still hitting that same string. Of course, you go back to that. That's another one of the chords that this other guy, I'm sorry, I really don't mean to be picking on anybody. That's one of the other chords that was wrong. A couple things you want to listen for when you're trying to figure out songs. You're not just listening for the notes. You're also listening for the details because there are so many different ways to hit the same pitch on a guitar. That's part of the difficulty of the guitar is the pitch duplication on this instrument. It's crazy. So you have to listen for little details. You have to listen for how the fingers slide on the string. You've got to listen to those little nuances. And that's one of the ways you can tell this is the same shaped chord coming off of this G. You kind of hear those fingers slide. Not quite that pronounced, but if you listen for it, you can hear some sliding notes. And again, it's a hammer on. This other video I saw had a pull off there. For this particular chord, and there's not one. I can see how you might hear that because of the dissonance between these two notes. You might hear a pull off there, but there's not a pull off. It's the same pattern. You have to kind of think in terms of, okay, what's the easiest way to play this first? You know, so go there. What's the easiest way to play it? What's the easiest way to make these notes? Usually start there, and if it still doesn't sound right, then you can kind of go on from there. But usually for me, that's kind of a rule, is I try to learn the easiest way to play it first. And that's usually in pop songs, because that's what this song is. It's a Christian crossover pop song. In these pop songs, that's usually the case. It's usually easier than you might think. So there's that chord, and you're up here on the second and the fourth frets, relative to the capo, which seventh and 5 and 7. All right, and then you've got one more chord, which is the minor chord. It jumps up here on 7, 8, and 9. And again, same thing. That same note's being hit. Then you come back up here to the D-shaped chord on the 12th and 13th. And again, there's that slide that you can hear ever so slightly. Okay, so that's it. And sorry for the extra explanations, but the teacher and me can't help but explain, how I go about figuring out certain songs. If I'm going to show you how to do something, I'd like to show my work, I suppose, like a math problem. But there you go. That's what you got to do. Don't just listen for the notes. Listen for the little details, because if you don't pay attention to those little details, you're going to be left scratching your head going, okay, well, something just seems missing. Well, that's usually what's missing, is those little details. So keep your ears open.